Okay, so welcome again. We are on week 7, prayers and meditations. And we have 2 prayers with us today. I'll just put it on. Yeah. So January 1914. Let's take this up first. So anyone who would like to begin, most welcome. Please unmute and if possible, read the prayer and then Snehi, would you like to read the prayer? And maybe if you don't want to share, that's okay. If you would just read it out, that would be nice for all of us. And then others can share if you don't want. Would that work? Yes, Snehi, are you there? Okay, I don't know. What's the problem? Okay. Okay, Aisha is also joining us, so I'll request. I'm just requesting for those of us who usually are not that much reading, so if they can read for us. Aisha, would you like to just read out the prayer for all of us, the first one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Thank you. Yeah.
O Lord, divine master of love, thou art the eternal victor, and those who become perfectly attuned to thee, those who live for thee alone and by thee alone, cannot but win all victories. For in thee is the supreme force, the force of complete disinterestedness, of perfect clear-sightedness, sovereign kindness. In thee, by thee, all is transfigured and glorified. In thee is found the key to all mysteries and all powers. But one can attain thee only if no longer desires anything except to live in thee, serve thee. Make thy divine work triumph more swiftly for the salvation of a greater number of men. O Lord, thou alone art real, and all else is an illusion. For when one lives in thee, one sees and understands all things. Nothing escapes thy perfect knowledge. But everything wears another appearance, for all is thou in a sense, all being the fruit of thy work, of thy magnanimous intervention. And in the most sinister darkness, thou couldst kindle a star. May our devotion grow ever deeper. Preparation perfect. And mayst thou, already the real sovereign of life, become in effect its true sovereign.
Yeah, thank you so much. So anyone, please go ahead and share your reflections. Rashmiji, Jishnuji, Snehi, Aisha, whoever feels like sharing, please.
Namaste, Dr. Monica.
Namaste, Rashmiji.
Just a few minutes ago, I just read Mother's one particular sentence. A total self-giving to the divine is the true purpose of our existence. So if I see this prayer in that light, then everything falls into place for me and for all of us, as we are all traveling in the same path. So here one sentence that is written, one can attain thee only if one no longer desires anything except to live in thee, serve thee. Make thy divine work triumph. Because he is the eternal victor. Victory will be always his. Victory will be always of the divine. But our true purpose will be the total self-giving, complete surrender. And what I mean, what I understand at this moment of time in my journey, that means not only my work has to be surrendered all the time, my vital, my thoughts of my mind, and my body even, each cell of my body. That is our purpose. Everything that what I am, what I have, everything has to be given to the mother or the divine. So once it is done, then everything belongs to him or her, because he is the real, thou art the real. Because when one lives in thee, one sees and understands all things, nothing escapes. Because all is thou in essence. And another word that really caught my attention is magnanimous intervention. That is wonderful, actually. Magnanimous intervention. How many times we have seen in our own life during the journey, our journey. Because sometime in the past I had aspired earnestly for his intervention. And a moment comes when even I'm not aware, but he intervenes and he brings me to the path once again. So may my devotion grow deeper. May my consecration grow even more perfect. And mayst thou, already the real sovereign of life, become in effect its true sovereign. So this is a journey, and this is such a wonderful prayer on this day, this auspicious day. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rashmiji. Beautiful. Yeah. I think if only we could remind ourselves of our true purpose, the first line that you shared, the true purpose of this line, this life is complete self-giving to the divine.
Yes, just few minutes ago only I just read that. It's such a wonderful, and it really fits into all this.
Yeah, very powerful. So I think all the experiences that remind us of this self-giving are really worth it, no matter how much pain they may bring and discomfort they may bring. But even if through our sufferings, falls and mistakes, we are pushed to give ourselves to the divine, it's worth it, really worth it. Yeah.
And
Thank you.
best part is that in the suffering, in the pain also, what I feel, I'm not alone actually. She's always there, because
Beautiful. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Anyone else on this prayer? Anything that you would like to share?
Monica ji, Jishnu here. Yeah.
Yes, Jishnu, please.
Yeah. I will just put the last few lines of the prayer, because Rashmi ji anyway has covered beautifully. I feel the last few lines, what she wrote is, everything is beautiful, but it's very significant. Like when we say, even in case of great beings who were spiritual people, they used to say, because they are already God, they have already realized the divine or realized the psychic being. Like Krishna Premas, that let me have more devotion on my Guru. And Sri Aurobindo and Mother said, but you already have, but I want more. And that is exactly Mother wrote here. May our devotion grow deeper. May our consecration grow ever more perfect. Well, these are very, very simple lines, but I feel these are like the secrets and significant secrets. The devotion grow deeper, this consecration be more perfect. I think as Rashmiji also quoted the other lines, it is the consecration which causes the transformation. A more and more sincere consecration, devotion will modify, will transform, will improve our life in the light of the divine. When I say improvements, in the light of the divine. Sorry. And mayst thou, already the real sovereign of life, become in effect its true sovereign. Because we all know that divine is everywhere. He is the divine is the true, is the sovereign. But we are not conscious. It is hidden. The consciousness is hidden in things. The consciousness is hidden in our lives. We have to pray to the divine that he become in us more and more prominent, around us more and more prominent, become more conscious, so that he indeed becomes the true sovereign of our life. I felt that would be my reflection here.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's also very interesting that yeah, Rashmiji, please, you're unmuted. Please share.
Just wonderful, Vishnu, actually. He just emphasized this point. May our consecration grow more perfect. And as we really look within ourselves every time we see that my consecration is not perfect. Because the moment, every forgetfulness actually, anytime, that always, lands us in trouble, lands us in pain, because our consecration is not perfect. So it's a wonderful line. Our consecration grow more perfect. So it has to be more perfect all the time. Thank you.
Yeah, so it reminds me, as Rashmiji was talking, there was one conversation, it was in Bengali. So one of the disciples, when he went to the ashram, this is after mother's physical departure. So he was talking to Nulinida and he himself was worried about something. And he said, no, I have left everything to the divine. And Nulinida, at times, he would be stern with the people he loved. And so he said, no, you actually have not learned, you have not actually left everything to the divine. You are saying so, but you don't feel like it. In your heart, you don't feel like it. Otherwise, you would not have been burnt out. And that is what, if our consecration, it applies to all of us. If our consecration is perfect, like Mother and Sri Aurobindo and other spiritual leaders, they are saying that there are approaches where you feel that whatever is happening to your life has been offered as a means of progress, as teaching, as a reflection of your inner self. But we get perturbed, right? We get perturbed with so many things because of primarily non-acceptance. Because we don't believe. We feel that, okay, divine is supreme, divine is everywhere, but we don't have the inner belief, the faith in all parts of our being, I would say. And that is why Mother is saying, let the consecration be more perfect, let our devotion be more deeper. Be deeper. And you who is the sovereign, be the true sovereign. Currently, we feel like that, but that's a mental understanding, a mental framework. We don't have, our heart is not burning with that understanding. Our heart is not in peace with that understanding. But as we see the truth, as Ramakrishna Dev says, that once you reach the roof of a house, you see that the roof is made with the same material as the stairs and the foundation of the house. Which means is basically once you realize you see the same world, but with different eyes, and that is what I feel here.
Yeah. Yeah, anyone else? So let us just take up a few more words from this prayer. The force of complete disinterestedness, and if we look at our thoughts, if we look at become observant of whatever goes on in our mind throughout the time, the 24/7, we will see that always the mind is interested in either this person, that relationship, that work, that job. So we have our own self motivated interests, that keep the mind occupied. So this I find very beautiful, that when one is more in touch with the depths, more in touch with the true consciousness, and disidentified from the surface consciousness as my own being, usually we make it our own being, then there is actually, one can feel a kind of a complete disinterestedness. So it's not that the work is not going on. You may be doing mother's work. Everything is mother's work. You offer it to the mother. But there is nothing that is going to be added onto you, and nothing that can be subtracted from you if the work goes good or not good, in whatever I consider as good or not good, because we have our own limited conceptions of success and failure. So this force of complete disinterestedness, because we become biased. These are my friends, these are my special intimate people, and others are not. We become really really biased, whether we may know or not. And that the divine doesn't want that for us. The divine, for each one of us, the divine wants that we can we self offer ourselves to the whole of existence, and not to just one particular person. And that's why it never, our relationships, especially the intimate ones, they never come to fruition in that sense, because we are not supposed to give ourselves only to one little person, or who is special for us, because that just narrows us down. And it's really a kind of, I find it very humorous and also very interesting, that whenever we want to give ourselves to one person, it mostly fails. I don't know if it all times it would fail, because I don't have that idea, but it mostly fails. That's what our experience is, because we are not supposed to give ourselves only to one narrow part of our life. We are supposed to flower and blossom in connection with everyone. So when that fails, but we have a kind of a self giving in ourselves, all of us have that devotion, all of us have that idea of self giving, we want to offer ourselves to others. Then instead of one person, we can distribute that self offering to all of us that we meet. I think that's even more beautiful and powerful. So, with the pain that we get from one relationship or one little area of our life where we were not able to find happiness in one narrow domain, that can actually make us expansive. That's the power it has. But since we are mostly operating from the ego, we don't realize that it's happening for good. That the idea that my relationship is not working, it's actually happening for good. We don't realize it in the beginning. Of perfect clear-sightedness, we become hazy when we are um, clouded by our thoughts, clouded by our feelings about this situation, this person, that person, about my life. So this creates a cloud. And when I'm not interested, I'm not seeking to add on anything to me, I'm not wanting to become anybody from any interaction that I do, then I can be completely clear. That neither can this interaction add on to my true essence, neither can it subtract anything from my true essence. Then I can be truly there in that interaction, whatever is happening in life. Like a curious explorer, I can be there. And that also gives us a very unshakable kind of a faith, when we know that nothing can be added or subtracted from us, our true essence. And sovereign kindness. So I was going through a book and it said that when we become mindful of anger arising, then if we stay with this mindfulness, yeah, I'm sorry, I got disconnected. So I was sharing that I was reading in a book where it was shared that when we are mindful of anger arising, and if we stay with the mindfulness, yes, this anger is arising, and looking at the anger, not getting followed by the dictate of the anger, but looking at anger, then it clears out in some time. If we are staying, for example, clinging with the breath and mindfully aware of this ripple arising, then the anger clears out and it leads to an empty space in the being. And he said that when we are aware of this empty space in the being, that gives rise to warmth and compassion. So, anger, which could have been really destructive, being mindful of the anger arising, it just appeared and disappeared, and it gave way for warmth. And he said that when I am aware of this empty space that anger left, it creates a warmth in the being, it creates like a kindness in the being. So anger gives way to compassion, and that's the possibility that we have, the highest possibility in each moment we can choose. So these words are, I found them very, very powerful. For in thee is the supreme force, power, concentrated force. In each moment the mind is here and now, supremely concentrated. It's not in the past and future ruminations. The force of complete disinterestedness, of perfect clear-sightedness, and sovereign kindness. In thee, by thee, all is transfigured. So one is able to transfigure a negative emotion which is not my true nature, like anger, jealousy, hate, whatever may come, into something beautiful, almost like a different possibility altogether. All is transfigured and glorified. In thee is found the key to all mysteries and all powers. So this is a power, it's a power of compassion. For example, the example that I'm sharing, we have this power of compassion and kindness, but we are rarely aware of it. But one can attain thee only if one no longer desires anything except to live in thee, serve thee, make thy divine work triumph more swiftly for the salvation of a greater number of men. So, why am I on this path at all? Again and again, masters have reminded us that we cannot be on this path only for ourselves. We may start it for ourselves, but it will have to expand and include the whole consciousness, the all of the existence. Because just like I suffer, all the beings suffer. So I cannot walk on this path alone for myself. It cannot be if we are truly on the path. So the more I get in touch with my pain, my suffering, it opens my heart to, oh my God, just like I am suffering in this relationship or work or with this attachment or anger or helplessness, so many countless number of beings are suffering like me. So our heart opens up for all that suffering. And one can actually make it a practice to use up, to take in all that suffering, take in all the suffering of all sentient beings who suffer like me, and may all the beings on this planet and beyond, may all of them have this simplicity and joy of the present moment. For example, that can be our wish. Because when we are in the here and now with no past worries or no future anxieties, we are so okay. We are content, we are comfortable, we are joyous. And that joy is available for us each moment. It's only that the mind is not there in the each moment. So this mother, in every prayer, mothers bring this. Mother will bring the whole earth and all the sentient beings in her prayers. And also no longer desires anything except to live in thee. So to many other people, Westerners, mother would use the word perfection instead of divine. You can use the word perfection. So in me, when I look at my movements, my inner ripples, when I turn them, transfigure them into something harmonious, something beautiful, anger has turned into compassion. That is I have no longer any desire but to transfigure my negative emotions into something higher. That also is living in thee. It's not only just if I'm not able to take the word of divine, I can use the word perfection, moving towards more beauty, more harmony in our life, and more sorting within the being. There's so many contradictory parts within us that require harmony. So we can be doing only this if we do not desire anything in our life but this. And this reminds me of a quote by Milarepa, a Buddhist teacher and a master mystic, I would say. He said that my only religion is not to deceive myself. So to be completely honest, as mother would say, sincere, towards all my movements in the being. Yes, so whatever is the outer trigger, what is my inner movement? If I can be honest about that and sincere about that, only then transfiguration can happen. O Lord, thou alone art real and all else is an illusion. How beautiful, this only, so many lines which could become our mantra. That when we are lost in the future and past and present worries, if only I could remind myself this all is an illusion. And only the consciousness, the true consciousness, which makes us alive, because of which I am conscious of my own self, body, being, thoughts, emotions. This consciousness is the sole reality. Rest all is coming and going. It's like fleeting clouds. Rest all is an illusion. And when I really truly believe in it, this line, it is not possible that the mind is lost in past or future. Because the moment I see my mind going again in the dream of past and future, in a negative sense, like repetitive, the patterns that we have, I'll call it a dream, and again I'll come back to the present moment. I'll call it an illusion, I'll come back to the present moment. For when one lives in thee, one sees and understands all things. Nothing escapes thy perfect knowledge. So when we are more conscious of this deeper consciousness within ourselves, not so, when it's so obvious, this consciousness is so obvious, but we ignore it. When we are united with that, then we are not seeking outwardly. It's so comforting. Being in this consciousness is so comforting. But everything wears another appearance, and we don't take our own opinions for being true. Because I when I believe or live, not believe, actually live as this consciousness, I would not be able to take my ideas and thoughts and limited opinions as truth, and would be open to more exploration. That what I believe is not the absolute truth. The storyline in my head is not the absolute truth. Why am I believing in it so tightly? No, but everything wears another appearance. For all is thou in essence, all being the fruit of thy work, of thy magnanimous intervention, as Rashmiji was pointing out on this. And in the most sinister darkness, thou couldst kindle a star. And not even, darkness out there, darkness within us, and darkness so-called out there. It is impossible for us to continue to live in darkness and not find light in darkness. if we have even a little bit of touch with this true consciousness. It's impossible that we can be too much in dark. There must be some light in that darkness, some beauty in that darkness, what she's sharing here. Even in the most sinister darkness, thou could kindle a star. And I think these lines, both of Jishnuji, Rashmiji already pointed out so beautifully. So I think we can stay put with that reflection, that there is no end to this self-offering. We can always realize that something in us is still yet not consecrated with whatever trouble, hurt, and twisting and turning that we go through. And that can be taken a chance for the consecration to go deeper. It may happen that there may be a difficulty that started in my life, and in the beginning I am not able to recognize that it's my consecration which is not perfect, but I undergo a turmoil, and through the phase as it goes ahead, I realize, oh my god, I just now realize that it's because I don't have faith in the mother. I don't have trust in whatever the divine wants for me is good. I have my own ideas of success and goodness. So can I just look at the mother and say, okay mother, if you want me to go through this, I'll go through this, because I'm sure if you want me to go through this, there must be something good here for me. And then one relaxes in the moment, and one is not struggling too much, resisting the present moment, whatever that present moment may be. So beautiful prayer, and each prayer is like a mantra. Even if one prayer we can take it to heart and reflect over it, is really enough, too much. So we'll move on, if everyone is okay, to the next prayer. If there is any reflection, Jasmine and Swapna, you had joined later. If there is any reflection, please unmute and share. So yes, Swapna, please go ahead.
Hi.
Yeah.
That was really helpful with something I was going through today, to hear all this. And, just like one of the last things you said about, if I'm going through this, whatever this is, that mother must see there is some sense in this. She wants me to go through this, and then that can bring a peace. And it's very comforting and it's a solace to hear that. And there's a sense of, there's also like a voice that says, but where is it just mother's will that this is going on? And where is it that I can do more, that I should do more? Or there's something, where do I know that she doesn't require me to take more actions around the situation? Or, that kind of contemplation also is in when to sit back and see it as her will, and when to, it's not always so easy to know that one, I feel.
I feel, Swapna, one has to really get sick of one's actions. Because I've seen in past that my actions, whatever I do in agitation and wanting to do something out there, like if I don't do that, then I don't know, world will come to an end, or what would happen. So if whatever action I have done from that state of being, hasn't it always landed me in more agitation? So once I am convinced, and I was actually thinking that once I'm really sick of my actions, in that sense, not that not every action, in that sense, trying to just fix things and control things in my way all the time, once I've gotten sick of it, I think there is a silence that happens in the being. You just come to rest, like a machine which was going on and on and on for centuries. This egoistic machine, it just comes to rest, because it realizes that more it works, the more hurt it causes itself and others. I think if that kind of a conviction can come, and a silence can dawn in the being, that really no action is required. in whatever I'm trying to protect. Really, no action is required. Because as Rashmiji was pointing out in the beginning, that the only true purpose of our being here is offering ourselves to the divine, uniting ourselves with the divine. Apart from them, that, everything is nothing but an illusion. So what I am trying to protect, either in my job or family or money or relationship, whatever I am trying to protect, it's nothing but a drainage of energy. Once I'm convinced and really sick of my actions, I think then I can really rest in myself. And when I rest in myself, we are always guided. We are always guided for what actions are to be taken, what not. Usually, not many aggressive actions required from us. Usually, very little is wanted of us. Very little. Our major task is inward. All of us know that. And if the true union has not yet been achieved, whatever I may try to fix outwardly, it will always result in some other turmoil, some other, retaliation from outer forces. So if only I can keep myself focused on inner consecration and unification with my true consciousness, and disidentification from thoughts, feelings, the surface consciousness, which is itself a big amount of work. It's a big, big, big work, because the moment we are here and then we are again gone, the moment we are here again gone. So that itself can take care of rest everything that goes on externally in my life. So yeah, that's what I feel.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monica ji, one, I would say an incident or example came to my mind, though not possible for us to always follow. Like Sri Aurobindo, when he went to prison, there was a time when he got that indication that he should not do anything, and to defend himself. And I am telling this story from first I will tell the viewpoint from the viewer's point of view, which Nolini Antagupta or somebody else wrote, that when Siddhartha became Sri Aurobindo's lawyer, first Sri Aurobindo was talking to him, giving him instructions, telling him the points of defense. And then they saw that Sri Aurobindo is not telling him anything. If Siddhartha comes and speaks to him, he remains silent. Siddhartha was also a personal friend of him. And then Siddhartha to some extent became frustrated, and then he stopped asking Sri Aurobindo, and he started writing, or started making the case as he understood. And Sri Aurobindo, after he came out of the prison, when he gave the Uttarpada speech, he said that I had received the indication not to do anything, especially for this defense purpose. He said that first the first barrister or the first lawyer who was defending him, he was not up to the mark, or probably. And then when Siddhartha came, Sri Aurobindo said that he got the indication that the right person has come. And then he said that I observed that when I speak to him, as per my understanding, I find that I'm misguiding him. So I stopped talking. And I found that if I stop talking, Siddhartha is working as per his own understanding and intelligence, and he is working out better. Ultimately, we know that, of course, he got acquitted. And Siddhartha gave a beautiful speech, final speech. But apart from that, so this is an example. And the thing is, the most of the problem, what happens is, because we are short-sighted, if we really know what we are doing is right for us? Of course, there are, what we say, the knowledge of the lower hemisphere, like, a technical thing, how it is to be done, like cooking, cutting, some craft, whether how it is to be done. There is a technical knowledge. But when it comes to life, do we really know what is good for us? We actually don't know. We know, if somebody to ask, we know that if we ask to divine anything, is it good for us or not? We cannot say. What is good for us is devotion, consecration, bhakti in some form, and the joy of union. That is unmistakable under any circumstances, and that is always good wherever we are, under whatever circumstances. But all the other things, like Sri Aurobindo himself said, I think, who was talking in Alok's lecture or somewhere else, that Sri Aurobindo got the indication that he should stop his political activities, and he did not stop, and that's why he was put to prison. And later he got that indication that I received this intuition, I ignored, because I thought, what will happen to this country? Can you imagine? Which is true. Like as Monica ji was saying, we think that the world will stop in whatever little sphere of ours. And in 1905 and 6, Sri Aurobindo was truly the national leader who was fighting for India's freedom. He actually had the right and the legitimate dream that I am going to make my country free. And if I leave my country, if I leave this field, my country may not be free. Even with him, this has happened. That you don't have to worry about it. The divine is saying there are other people who will take care of it. I'm sure it is the same with us. When we should worry, we should think like that. Having said that, it's not easy, but it came to my mind as Monica ji was giving the example.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was very helpful. Yeah. I think one thing which really helps me is also this, this considering things and people in our life really as an illusion. And myself, that it's not only in Buddhism that they talk about this like a dream. Mother also, Mother says you are the sole reality, rest everything is an illusion, so it's not contradicting with anything. And I feel that if I consider few special people in my life and few special spheres in my life as more real and tangible, that yes, if I don't work for that, what would happen, then I'm not considering them as an illusion, then I'm taking them too seriously. And no wonder that it becomes the cause of my misery. No wonder that the more I get attached to these special people, whether they're causing me pain or either they're giving me praise, whatever, these poles of duality, if I consider anything as really the reality in my life, all our experiences tell us that it will be shattered sooner or later, because that is not the truth. And the ultimate truth, as we were is always read in prayers and meditations, is the divine. And the divine is infinite, and in infinite, when we talk of infinite, we also talk about groundlessness. When we talk of space, there is no ground that we strike. It's like groundless. It's like vast. So we actually have no ground. If we could just be convinced of it, that we cannot make any person, any thought, any dogma, any opinion, any religion, any cult, any master, we cannot, not master in this sense, in the sense, whatever our people come and go in our life, that we cannot make anything our ground but the divine, because the divine is groundless. He is infinite. We don't strike an end there, that okay, now I have found the divine, done, my story is done. We never reach a wall there. So I think if we can get convinced of this, because again and again we try to make anything our ground, and it shatters us when it's it's not proven according to what we want. And no matter that it shatters us, I think that's our journey, that if it shatters, because the only thing that can be shattered is the falsehood. So let it get shattered for the truth to be revealed. So I think that's why Sri Aurobindo uses warrior or Aryan spirit, because we need to get shattered from time to time. Yeah, that's our story. So anyone, would we take the prayer this time? We can. I don't know. I'm open. Anyone? Any thoughts? January 29. We still have some time, actually, about 15 minutes or so. We can take it as well. Yes, Swapna?
I think we should take it. Keep
Okay.
going.
Okay. So let's go ahead. It's a short one, short prayer. If anyone would like to read, I welcome. Please unmute and share. Read out the prayer for all of us.
January 29th, 1914. It is thy presence in every being, O divine master of love, that makes it possible for every man, even the most cruel, to be open to pity, and even the most vile to respect, almost despite himself, honor and justice. It is thou who, beyond all conventions and prejudices, illuminest with a special light, divine and pure, all that we are and all that we do, and makes us see clearly the difference between what we actually are and what we could be. Thou art the impassable barrier set up against the excess of evil, darkness, and ill will. Thou art the living hope in every heart of all possible and future perfections. To thee, all the fervor of my adoration. Thou art the gateway within reach of our conception, leading to unsuspected and inconceivable splendors which will be revealed to us progressively. Something to reflect upon by Thomas Merton and the Buddha. Love is our true destiny. We do not find the meaning of life by ourselves alone. We find it with another. Thomas Merton.
Yeah, thank you, Swapna. I think this is really interesting, the last line here. Thou art the gateway within reach of our conception, leading to unsuspected and inconceivable splendors. Splendors which will be revealed to us progressively. Something which is just directly coming to me at this, that we talk about feeling lonely. When we are either attached for a long time with one particular relationship or one particular country or maybe one particular job, and if we are now shifting or changing, that relationship is moving in a different way or job is changing and country is changing, there is a sense of an emptiness that arises. Most of us are not able to take that, that emptiness. It's almost like it kills us. We are not able to be with that emptiness. And that day I was hearing to something by Thich Nhat Hanh, where he was sharing that when we bring our mind to the body in the present moment, usually he takes the help of breath, with mindful breathing. When I bring my mind in the body, then I see that, oh my God, there are other conditions of happiness possible in this very moment. So, usually my mind is fixated that the happiness, oh, that has to come only from that person. Happiness, joy, that has to come only from that country, that family, that relationship, that job, this. So we have very set, rigid ideas in our mind owing to the past. And he says that if only we could bring our mind to the breathing mindfully in the here and now, the moment you become available to the here and now, in that opens up many other possibilities of happiness and joy. Touching a flower, playing with a ball, you're playing with an infant around, talking to a person, anything, smelling something, looking at the sky. But this can only happen when I'm available in the here and now. Just being with yourself sometimes can be so comforting, which is hard for us because we are not usually with ourselves. So when we are able to be with this empty space, which is very challenging for us human beings the way we are, there we slowly, Mother says, that we open space for inconceivable splendors which will be revealed to us progressively. Can we just persevere in that empty space? That's our challenge, because the mind doesn't let us be. It takes us again and again either to the past, future. No, I can't tolerate this emptiness. It just can't be with that space. And if only we can be with that space, I think we can allow our life to blossom in a way which only divine can conceive. We cannot conceive that. That's what we call unfolding of a life, blossoming of a life. Can we have this space in our life and not preset ideas for our life that this is how it should go? Like Alokda, in many talks he shares that as if the divine is always waiting. You give me your past old baggage and let me give you a new bouquet of life, bouquet of life. But we are so clingy to our old patterns that we have no clue what we are holding on to and what is waiting for us. Just because we can't have this full consecration or full faith, that whatever the higher has chosen for me is the better faith, thing for me. We just, this restlessness in the being is so great. And even then, that can be of beautiful help, I think, when I get in touch with my own restlessness and unease, that how uneasy for me it is to be able to be in the here and now. I can connect the same suffering with all of us go through, because the same restlessness is present in each one of us. So may all of us have the comfort of the present moment and joy and silence. So yeah, this is just, it came to me when you read the last line. Yeah, please go ahead, anyone. Sharings, unmute and share, please. Yeah, silence is good. We can actually be silent. I think that would be beautiful if nothing is coming. This line, it is thou who beyond all conventions and prejudices illuminest with a special light, divine and pure. I think this is, the light of consciousness that we have. If only we could knowingly take stance as that light of consciousness that makes everything possible for us to see all that we are and all that we do, and makest us see clearly the difference between what we are and what we could be. So if in any moment, if I can take stance as this consciousness, and it would be the right guidance will just arise from within. It is impossible that the right guidance does not come. When this silence and that stance as consciousness takes place in the being. And Mother says here that it would just clearly tell us the difference between what we actually are right now, what is my actuality, and what I could be. There, something has the power to settle down in the being. And also to make way for something new. Make way for something new. And not tirelessly repeating the old patterns. We are so stubborn in one sense that we tirelessly repeat our old patterns and still want the life to change for better. So we really have to, let me read something from a book that I was reading. I think it was very powerful. Just add on to what we are just reading here. So there are a few verses that I came across and it was so powerful. So here it is written, the author of Bodhi Charyavatara, who is Shanti Deva, he says to the ego, 100 harms you have done me, wandering in cycles of existence. Now your malice I remember, and will crush your selfish schemes. So the moment I can be conscious of the ripple of ego arising, always wanting, demanding, desiring, in that consciousness itself lies the resolution. But because if I'm unconscious, the ego plays out. But if I'm conscious and if I have seen the harm of ego done to me and others, I would not be able to, allow this to happen. And then he says further in another verse, that time when you could beat me down is in the past. He's saying to the ego, that time when you could beat me down is in the past. It's no more here. Now I see you. Where will you escape? I will crush your haughty insolence. So I think this was very powerful that we have the key. We only have the key. As Rumi says, that it's really funny, and I also like a little sad to see a man sit in prison when the key is there in his own hands. If only we could realize that we have the key to let go of our stubbornness, to have the things our own way. And then everything is really can have the chance to blossom and flower in the way that the divine wants it to flower, which is much more powerful than what we can imagine. Yeah, so I think that's it. Anyone else? Anything in the last comments? Any reflections? Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for having also this silence. I think together it's also very beautiful. Yeah, thanks for joining. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Lisa.
Thank you.